Oh, oh, oh. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ant-Man channel. It is the 23rd. It is Saturday, the least read news day of the week, the 23rd of August 2014, and I'm your host, Ant-Man. I've been doing a little series I just started yesterday of doing devotionals, and I promise to make this one quick because I know I need to work on that. Exodus 27, and this is from the Berean, Berean, the Berean. I don't know how you pronounce that, but they write cool devotionals, and this is one of them. Exodus 27. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain. Yeah, man, you know what's funny is like I turned on TBN, and the first thing I saw was Pastor T.D. Jakes, and the first thing he said was, "OMG," and I was like, "How do you not know that you're?" I was just like, I'm shocked by that. That like a lot of Christians out there, they don't know that saying that is blasphemy, and probably shouldn't say it, man. I mean, I'm just saying, right? I mean, you gotta love the Lord with all your mind, with all your understanding, knowing that, the atheists, the haters, they want to do that to God. They want to blaspheme God. But when we do it unknowingly, that's like it's as good as them doing it on purpose. Now we all see that nowadays people will say they will say God's like full name with and give him a new nickname, and I see that like I don't even want to say it, but the stuff I see out there, like it's like trendy, like it's like a hipster cool thing to do is to say that now, and it's just like, man, you know what I mean? A lot of hostility toward who we serve these days, and I tremble, man. That kind of stuff makes me like really afraid for people who don't understand what they're doing. In the old covenant, they used to actually have to stone you to death. They have to take you out of the camp and stone you if you blaspheme God's name. That's how serious it was. This commandment, like the second, includes a warning with it, or within it. What does he mean by not hold him guiltless? Sometimes God deliberately understates a warning as a subtle form of emphasis, which ultimately magnifies its meaning. The penalty for taking God's name in vain is death. It's true. It is helpful to define four words used in this command. Take. Several Hebrew words are translated into the English word take, but this one means lift up, bear, carry, use, appropriate. Name. The Hebrew root denotes something high or elevated, a monument implying majesty or excellence. It is an outstanding mark, sign, or reputation. Thus, name is a word by which a person, place, or thing is distinctively known. A name identifies, signifies, and specifies. Vain. The underlying Hebrew word suggests emptiness, futility, or falsehood. It implies lacking in reality, value, or truth. Its single word synonyms, depending upon the context, are futile, worthless, profane, foolish, reproachful, curse, blaspheme, purposeless, useless, inconsequential, unsubstantial, and vaporous. Man, guiltless. The word indicates free, clear, innocent, clean, blameless, unpunished. This commandment has nothing to do with the proper pronunciation of God's name, which no one knows for certain how to say anyway. It also has nothing to do with superstition or magic. This commandment's application is much broader, deeper, and more dignified than that. This commandment is certainly against common swearing, including the use of euphemisms so common in this Protestant society. Examples of which are gee, gosh, golly, cheese and rice. Ooh, I've never heard that one, but that's not good. I don't like that one. God Almighty, Jiminy Cricket, and doggone. Wow. However, it also includes the light or disrespectful use of any of God's attributes or character traits. More directly than any other, the third commandment teaches how much God is to be a part of our every word, deed, and attitude. It pays dividends in insight and understanding to take notice of biblical names. In biblical thought, a name is not merely a label of identification, but also an expression of the bearer's essential nature. It includes its bearer's reputation, character, and distinctiveness. From others, for example, it's all probability. Uh, Adam named the beasts based on his observations of the distinctiveness of their natures. Similarly, to know the name of God is to know God as He has revealed Himself. That is, to know some of His nature. This same thought is true of many biblical characters, providing insight into understanding them within the events recorded about them. To illustrate, Jacob supplants his brother Esau twice. A supplanter is one who, by skill, deceit, or force, takes the place of another. When this happens the second time, Esau says, "Is he not rightly named Jacob?" Genesis 27:36. Regarding the birthright and blessing, Jacob takes Esau's place using his supplanting nature. It's funny, I think it's really funny, and I don't know if I'm the only one here, but I'd be surprised if I was, that thinks that, like Jacob he's one of the three patriarchs of the promise, of the promise God made to Abraham, not based on the law, but by faith. And, like the three patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to which were given that promise and to inherit God's holy land and whatnot. I think it's hilarious that Jacob is one of the patriarchs, because if you read the part in the Bible where it's talking about him and his story, you just don't like the guy. I don't like him. I don't like him at all, but it's funny because you kind of feel bad for him later because he gets what he kind of deserves, I guess, if you want to put it that way. Like, what he used to do to his brother Esau, someone does it to him, and namely Laban, and it's humbling to see a guy like that get humbled, because you know what I mean. He was really bad, man. I mean, I just think it's funny that he's one of the patriarchs because he was such a deceitful person when he was younger. Another clear example occurs when Abigail pleads with David for Nabal's life. As his name is, so is he. Nabal is his name, and folly is with him. 1 Samuel 25:25. Nabal means a dull, a vile person. Thus, the Bible shows that a name tends to exercise constraint on a person to conform to its nature. In Hebrew thought, then, a name is inextricably bound with the name things exist, or with the named things existence. Sorry, I'm going to read that again just in case you didn't get that. In Hebrew thought, then, a name is inextricably bound with the named thing's existence. Nothing exists unless it has a name, and its essence is concentrated in its name. Hence, creation is not complete until Adam names all the creatures. To cut off a person's name is to end the bearer's existence, or to change a person's name is to indicate a shift in his character and standing before God. To speak or act in another's name is to act as that person's agent and to participate in his authority. To be called by another's name implies that person's ownership, and one bearing that name falls under the authority and protection of the name, or of the one whose name is called upon. The third commandment sets the standard of the spiritual cleanliness in a person's using the name of God because it is so weighty. It must be used or borne in truth, without hypocrisy or vanity, but in purity of conduct. A person is better off being sincerely wrong than being a professing Christian and denying God's name by the conduct of his life. And if you did not hear me right now, I'm just going to reread that because that was brilliant. A person is better off being sincerely wrong than being a professing Christian and denying God's name by the conduct of his life. That is more true, and I mean, that goes for everyone. That goes for me. That goes for everybody. Like when you realize who you represent, whose name you're under, that is weighty because you have I read Deuteronomy 28 yesterday. I studied that, and in that study I realized that that the curses and the blessings that God pronounces on Israel, depending whether they obey him or not, how the country would turn out. If they obey God, they prosper. They prosper in the with all of their livestock, with everything that they plant. just wealth-wise, and they're in peace and whatnot. But if they disobey God, all these plagues come. They get taken captive. They get exiled. They starve. God even says like they'll turn to eating each other. It'll become so bad. And I realized that when I was studying Deuteronomy 28, that you know, it is a personal relationship. God tells you to watch. The one who guards. I want to just open it because the way that he puts it is I can't really remember right now, but he says something like, if the one who watches to see that he does everything. Let's see here. I'll find it real quick. Yeah, sorry, I should have got this down in advance, but you know how it just comes off of the top, so I didn't premeditate any of this. I wrote it in a devotional yesterday, so I'll just read it out of here. But it's crazy what it says. So, alright, here it is. Deuteronomy 28:58. If you do not carefully follow all the words of the law, of this law, which are written in this book, meaning, at the time like when Moses was around, they were writing this down so that they can always know. That's how we have the Bible, because people, by God, were actually told to write these things down, and do not revere this glorious. Okay, yeah, he's like warning them. If you do not carefully follow all the words of this law, which are written in this book, and do not revere this glorious and awesome name, the Lord your God, and then it goes on to pronounce whatever curses and blessings, and we're God clearly is like a father. I don't know from if you're a Christian or not, but when you're a Christian and you realize that, you know that you have that kind of a relationship with God, whether you are rewarded for that, for your obedience, and it's something that we should all hold on to, and Jesus also said, those that love me those are the ones that obey me, and we have to be careful that we don't fall into the category, the type that they praise with their lips but their hearts are far from the Lord. We have to always consider studying our Bible. That's kind of like how Jesus explains how we feed our spirit so that we remember, you know what I mean? Sometimes when I wake up, I forget everything, you know what I mean? Like that I read in the Bible and stuff, because the book is so, big. I've only been a Christian for 2 years, so it's amazing how you can forget so easily things that inspire you so much and change your life so much, and it's just it's funny, but we gotta do it, because that's like our meat. Like how Jesus said how the will of God was his meat and his drink is how we should pursue him. So anyway, the third commandment, alright, consider that to help us to know David. The Bible shows him as shepherd, warrior, king, prophet, poet, husband, father, musician, sinner, and penitent. Each part of a rich and varied nature, yet God is manifold times greater than David. The Bible reveals his nature in a similar way by adding names to aid us in identifying his many glorious characteristics. God names himself what he is, just as he names people what they are. Thus, Jacob is at first a supplanter, yet when he changes, God names him more appropriately for his new life. Israel is one who prevails with God. Herbert Lockier's book, All the Divine Names and Titles, lists 364 names and titles for Jesus Christ alone. That's very interesting. Let me see how much time I have here. Alright, I'll be wrapping this up real quick. Through his name and titles, God has chosen to reveal a great deal about his attributes, offices, authority, prerogatives, and will. Each name designates some distinct virtue or characteristic of God's nature. Thus, God has made known the glory of his nature through his names. They are not to be abused. Well, this is written by John W. Rittenbaugh, and I just have to add to that real quick, and then I'll end this video. That I was actually thinking about that the other day, because if you love to read the Bible as much as I do, you run into so many names for Jesus all the time, and you're just like, man, it's funny how nobody just like writes these down. But I guess someone did. He said 306 more, or 364 or more, I believe I just read. But he just said that somebody that actually did a study on that and actually was, probably reading and looking for those names as he read is pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing, because I would have never, I'm doing my own type of Bible study right now. Not specifically focused on just the names of Jesus, but more likely just kind of getting the whole thing down. It's going to take a lifetime, but you know how it is. It's the living Word of God. It's the world and the universe will pass away, but the Word of God will never pass away. And that's pretty much all I have to say. I can't really add much to this one. This one is pretty clear. Christians out there, just remember this. Before you react surprised, or when you with people, remember that that doesn't glorify God. We gotta be more. We gotta be more we gotta hold God higher in our minds, in our hearts, in our in all of our being, so that we bring Him honor and glory, and so that He can, so we can please Him. Because when I hear a Christian say, "Oh my," it makes me feel like, man, how do you not know that you're breaking one of the commandments, and how do you take it so lightly that you don't really, at least if it slipped out of my mouth, I would be like, ooh, you know what I mean? But sometimes people aren't even ashamed, or they don't even notice, and it's just like, whoa. Well, that's just in case no one's ever told you that, because yeah, it's actually true. OMG. All that stuff, dude, it's blasphemy. And if you're a Christian, we all know that we like to play with our, Apple iPhones or whatever. And when we're texting or tweeting or whatever, we're out there and we're doing whatever. Just remember, that doesn't represent what God calls us to be. So, with that, I say God bless and have a good day.